Welcome everyone to the 2019 and 2020 Edenhope and District Memorial Hospital Annual General Meeting. I would firstly like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the waters and land and pay my respects to elders past and present. I acknowledge and pay respects to the emerging elders and elders of the future, for they will hold the memories, traditions and hopes of Aboriginal Australians. We must always remember that under the concrete and asphalt, this land was and always will be traditional Aboriginal land. This is our first time running an AGM remotely using Zoom, so please bear with us if we have any technical issues during the presentation. I'll just cover off some housekeeping and a summary of how tonight will run. Although we're unable to see or hear you, you are able to submit questions during the presentation, and we will spend a few moments towards the end of the evening reviewing and responding them if appropriate. To do this, you will need to type into the Q&A section on your screen. If you're having any difficulty hearing us, please check the volume on your computer or device. We are recording the presentation and plan on making that recording available via our website or other social media platforms. The presentation will commence with an official opening by the board chair, after which the Treasurer and the CEO reports will be presented. And finally, we will show a presentation of all our amazing staff who have recently received the Staff Service Awards, and we'll also announce the Employee of the Year nominations and winners. So without further ado, I will hand over to Philip Sabian, Chairperson of the Edenhope and District Memorial Hospital Board of Directors. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you, Andrew. And thank you to everyone who is attending via the first Zoom meeting that we've had for our annual general meeting. I'd like to welcome all present this evening, especially guests including Colin Smeaton from the department, Jeff Whitmitz from the Primary Care Partnerships, and other CEOs from the region, including Kevin Mills, Rural Northwest Health, Magella from the Western Victoria PHN, and members of the Edenhope community, including previous board members. We've received apologies from Judy Perkins from the department and Merrin Pease from Beaufort and Skipton Health Service. In regards to the minutes of the previous AGM, they were distributed to the board via email for circular approval prior to this meeting. Laura Willows and AJ Verma have indicated that they are happy to put forward a motion that the minutes are a true and correct record of the business discussed with other board members in favour. I'll now present the board chair's report and then hand over to Avril Hogan, chairperson of the Finance Committee, to present the Treasurer's report. Firstly, I'd like to thank all board members for their hard work over the year. It's been a challenging year for the board, considering the restrictions due to COVID-19, and many directors working and presenting through lockdown, some are located in Metro Melbourne. All board members have met the technological challenges of moving to a fully remote meeting head on, and I believe that we've gained some valuable and used technical skills because of it. Firstly, I'd like to welcome our newest board members, Julie West and Harry Ostenoff. Both Julie and Harry are well known and well respected within the Edenhope community, and bring with them a wealth of skills and experience at the board to support the board in achieving its goals and objectives. Our continuing board members are Vice Chair and Finance Committee Chair Avril Hogan, Vice Chair Dr. AJ Verma, Audit and Risk and Compliance Chair Laura Willows, Dr. Abby Verma, the Chair of the Clinical Governance Committee, Chris McCann and Annie Osborne. I'd just like to take a minute to thank Annie. Annie has had a substantial contribution to the hospital and the board over the last 6 years. Annie has chosen not to extend her term on the board after July 2021, and her commitment, dedication and wealth of local and practical knowledge will be sorely missed. It is my hope that Annie will remain an active part of the hospital, acting as a consumer advocate on some of our subcommittees. Thank you, Annie, for your tireless work. I'd also like to thank Andrew for his leadership and tireless support over the year. steering the organisation through what has to have been one of the most challenging years of our health service. Andrew has always maintained his sense of humour, and this has rubbed off on all of his team. And as we know, a very passionate, committed CEO who wants the best health outcomes for his community. So thank you, Andrew. Andrew will scold me if I don't mention his leadership team, and in particular, Joseph, Curtis and Robin. And of course, the executive support staff who have been instrumental in ensuring the continuation of services within the constantly changing space of COVID-19, and all while ensuring our consumers in our community remain safe. All EDMH staff deserve their recognition for their commitment to their community over the past year. On top of the lockdown restrictions we have all endured, also faced significant restrictions on them, their movement across the facilities, as well as the need to don PPE, to be fully vaccinated and diligently monitor their own health, temperatures and travel. Their diligence has been crucial in ensuring we keep our residents safe. The primary health team, and in particular the day centre and nursing staff, have gone above and beyond to actively keep the community together across social distancing restrictions and the lockdowns. The provisions of care packages, including games and activities, hand sewing masks, compiling and delivering newsletters every fortnight, and regularly checking in on our most vulnerable community members who often didn't have their own family close by. All of this culminating in an end of year Christmas party where we had 72 community members attend to thank them for their support throughout the year. I'd like to thank the community for their ongoing support. Families of our residents have been incredibly understanding with all the challenges and restrictions. The community has truly pulled together to ensure our residents know that they weren't forgotten. The drive through to happiness was an incredible event that many of the residents still talk about today. Our community has been resilient and flexible with all the required changes to our services, including adapting to telehealth appointments, which for those who have never used a computer or smartphone in their lives has been a very big change. The 2019-22 strategic plan was released publicly in July with the hard copies available in September. This very important document guides the board and the executive team when making decisions that impact on the services that we provide to our community. How we communicate and provide important information is an essential part of our strategy, as we need our message to be heard. The statement of priorities is our agreement that our hospital has with the Department of Health. This year, due to the impacts of COVID-19 on the health industry, the Department of Health and Human Services have elected to carry over the strategic priorities from last year. We look forward to working with the department on a new set of priorities for the coming 2020-21 financial year. And finally, I am very pleased to present the 2019-20 annual report for the activities of Edenhope and District Memorial Hospital. The annual report was tabled in Parliament on the 10th of December, and so was only very recently approved for publishing. A copy of this report is available to download from our website, and there'll be some hard copies available from reception within the coming weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip.
So I'd now like to hand over to Avril, Chairperson of the Finance Committee, who will present the Treasurer's report. Thank you, Avril.
Thank you, Philip. Hello all, I'm going to be presenting the top level financial considerations that we worked with and on as a board and an executive team this year. These financial outcomes also tie into our strategic objectives, which include community, quality care, and positioning the hospital for the future. The first one is an update on the ongoing doctor situation. As many of you are aware, the hospital has been running the medical clinic at a loss since 2013. With the changes to the doctors and our new and dynamic strategic alliance with rural doctors, we're now able to supply consistent doctor care, while also putting a cap on the losses to the hospital. Edenhope and District Memorial Hospital has reported an operating deficit prior to capital and specific items of $237,000 for the year, compared to a deficit of $637,000 in 2018-19. Closing the medical clinic in April also had a positive financial impact, as it contributed $437,000 in losses to the deficit position of the hospital. In addition to the reduction in wages and the cost of using locums, there was also savings in consumables. This included utilities, visiting medical officers, and the closure of the clinic. They all contributed to a decrease in supplies and consumables of $165,000. The second item to highlight is the new facility and the revenue from aged care. The major items contributing to the results for the year included a significant decline in residential aged care occupancy-led fees and funding, which reduced by $271,000 for the year, $217,000 for the year. Hostel occupancy was at 59%, where in prior years it was averaging about 91%. An aged care facility was slightly higher than last year at 80%, a 7% increase from the prior year. The board and executive have addressed this decline through actioning an advertising campaign hitting the TV screens. You may have already seen it on TV or across your social media feeds. This campaign will run from November 2020 to November 2021. From a capital perspective, the health service received the last $1.26 million of a $6.13 million grant via the Regional Health Infrastructure Fund to complete the Lakes Hostel redevelopment. As of the 30th of June 2020, Stage 1 of this project has been completed, with Stage 2 and 3 to be completed in 2020-2021. An additional refurbishment grant of $653,000 to upgrade the existing Bade Wing into a new urgent care center and administration offices was received, with the works to start in 2021-2022 financial year. The investment in this facility from the Department of Health is significant and demonstrates the department's commitment to our region. I believe that everyone in the region should be very proud of this facility, as well as the team that works here who made it all possible. And thirdly, the impacts of COVID-19. As you are all aware, the state of emergency was declared in Victoria on the 16th of March, 2020, due to the global coronavirus pandemic, also known as COVID-19. A state of disaster was subsequently declared on the 2nd of August. To contain the spread of the virus and to prioritize the health and safety of our communities, various restrictions have been announced and implemented by the state government, which in turn has impacted the manner in which our business operates. This includes the Edenhope and District Memorial Hospital. In response, the Edenhope and District Memorial Hospital placed restrictions on non-essential visitors, implemented reduced visitor hours, and reduced activities. EDMH performed COVID-19 testing and implemented work from home arrangements where appropriate. Our staff and residents and the residents' families were all very supportive of this dramatic change, as the priority was safety for the entire community. 2019-2020 saw EDMH receive funding support from the Department of Health and Human Services of $1 million and a COVID grant of $32,000. These funds ensured a sustainable cash flow was maintained throughout the year. Edenhope and District Memorial Hospital appreciate the support of the Department of Health and Human Services and that it provides to our small rural health service, both financially and operationally. 2020-21 is expected to be another deficit year due to lower occupancy of residential aged care, with some rooms made unavailable through the building works, but we anticipate services will slowly return to COVID normal. And finally, to provide some further financials and funding changes. With the limited acute activity for Department of Veterans Affairs, Transport Accident Commission, and the renal inpatients meant that there was a potential recall of DHHS funding of 50.
Okay, well, it looks like we've lost Avril there for a moment. Hopefully she was almost at the completion of her report. Philip, I might hand over to you to discuss and the motion on the Treasurer's report, if I can, please.
Thank you, Andrew. So, look, Avril, thank you for your detailed and informative Treasurer's report. As Andrew just mentioned, Avril was coming to the end of the report. Prior to this meeting, the Board of Directors were provided with the annual report, which includes the financial statement as well as Avril's Treasurer's report. The Board passed a circular motion to approve both the annual report and the Treasurer's report, led by Chris McCann and seconded by AJ Verma, with all other board members in favour. I'd like to now hand over to Andrew, who will now provide his CEO's report. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Philip. An excellent report, Avril and Philip, and thank you for your report on the Board of Directors' activity. COVID-19, need I say more? Who could have imagined that this time last year that our 2019-20 AGM, we would have faced down on a year like we have just experienced, and not only within our own community, but across the entire world. I'm really proud to say that Edenhope and that we have met this head on and the numerous challenges that we faced responding to the outbreak, and at the same time discovered opportunities to work more closely with other health services within our region. We've had great support from our community, as Avril and Philip have both alluded to. Our staff have been outstanding. The Grampians Regional Health Network has been absolutely impressive, and the Department of Health and Human Services has been outstanding in providing information and support all the way through. One of the challenges has been ensuring that we were able to provide ongoing medical services to our community. And we at Edenhope and District Memorial Hospital see that as a vital component for our community to have access to a GP for appointments, for presentations at our urgent care centre, for a GP to be able to visit our aged care residents in our aged care facilities, and of course, to look after hospital patients. EDMH, we have been extremely fortunate to be able to secure the medical services of Rural Doctors of Nil, who have taken over the operations of our medical clinic, as Avril said earlier. Dr. Sabia, the resident GP, has provided outstanding service to the Edenhope community since April 2020, and we thank her and her family for choosing to make Edenhope their home. And we really look forward to a strong and continued partnership with the team at Rural Doctors. The challenge of ensuring our community is safe from COVID-19 has been a huge part of our work this year and has been consuming. The ever-changing nature of the virus and the impact on the community and staff has been enormous. And I want to thank all our staff that have worked tirelessly on policies, procedures and practices to keep our residents and our community safe. Thank you also to the families of our residents that worked with us to ensure that we could keep their loved ones safe through reduced visitations. With the restrictions easing and strong leadership from the department and the Premier, we will continue to get through this together. The opportunities that have arisen during the last year include the ongoing building of the Regional Health Partnership, with all health services in our region working together in a coordinated manner to ensure that during the pandemic, we were prepared as a region to provide care and support to those that needed it most. A spirit of cooperation and collegiate support from the largest to the smallest health service has become the new norm, and I'm sure we will see exciting benefits for all health services in our region to help us all to provide the best care to our communities as close as home to possible. The Rural Outreach Program continues to provide the Wimmera and Southern Mallee areas with focused, person-centred care, which continues to make a real difference to those that are living with situational distress and mental health issues. EDMH and the Wimmera Primary Care Partnership and our other partnership organisations continue to seek funding for this much needed program to continue and to keep it ongoing. Again, this year has been a tough one financially. Low occupancy in aged care remains one of our greatest challenges, and we do need to fill beds. And though we are running a significant amount of marketing, including advertising on TV and online, we still need our community's help to turn this around. And you can help this by promoting our facility wherever you go and to let people know what Edenhope has to offer. With our new aged care facility open and stage 2 of the redevelopment due for open in February 2021 and stage 3 by June next year, Lakeside Living, as we're now calling it, is finally taking shape. As a thank you to Peter Caraher for his kind bequest of over $2 million towards the redevelopment, a new wing will be renamed the Peter Caraher Wing. As always, we welcome feedback and input from everyone, as this contributes to the continuous improvement of our hospital and generates ideas for new programs and initiatives. So we always are welcoming and for people to let us know firsthand how we're doing. Thank you to all those that volunteered time and donated money to our health service this year. Your contributions are gratefully received and very much appreciated. This extra funding assists in providing additional services and replacing worn out equipment and purchasing new medical equipment that helps us to meet the needs of you, our community. The management team and I don't do this alone, and a big thank you to all the board, all the staff and the volunteers for your support and contribution to the hospital. Thank you for every time you have attended a meeting, worked your shift or helped out volunteering. Your passion, your drive and your commitment to our community and our hospital is vital to our ongoing success. We are better and we are stronger together. Thank you. And I will now hand over to Joseph Bermudo, who is our Director of Nursing, to talk about the Staff Service Awards and the Employee of the Year Awards. Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you very much, Andrew. For this year, our recipients of service awards were treated to a delicious lunch and awarded their certificates and gifts in front of their peers. We take the time this evening to honor them and their dedicated service to Edenhope. Thank you very much, Andrew. For this year, our recipients of service awards were treated to a delicious lunch and awarded their certificates and gifts in front of their peers. Is the volume better? We take the time this evening to honor them and their dedicated service to Edenhope and District Memorial Hospital. Their outstanding commitment to their roles has assisted with the ongoing success of the hospital, and we thank them for all their service. Please take a moment to congratulate the following staff. And if you bump into them down the street, congratulate them for their awards. So Andrew Lloyd, maintenance, 30 years. Helen Shields, nursing, 30 years. Sonia Cryer, nursing, 20 years. Sue Ballard, nursing, 20 years. Helen Grommet, nursing, 15 years. Sarah Haitley, nursing, 10 years. Now, the Employee of the Year Award recognizes an individual's achievements during the entire year. Consideration is given to the employee's overall performance for the year, including the areas of consumer care, workplace skills and practices, improving relationships with other staff or departments, personal and professional development, continuous improvement, occupational health and safety, public relations, and contribution to positive work culture. I would like to acknowledge how special it is to be nominated for this award. Nominations are submitted by peers who have recognized the significant contribution the nominees make to the well-being of our residents and patients, as well as to their teammates and organizations. Thank you to all the staff who took their time to nominate their colleagues and show their appreciation. Now, the successful Employee of the Year received a $250 award and will be allocated $2,000 to go towards a hospital project of their choice. The 2019 to 2020 Employee of the Year nominees were, and in no particular order, Andrew Lloyd, for his constant positive attitude and willingness to assist in his role as a maintenance worker, to the point of putting aside his own work in order to help others. For his passion, compassion towards his fellow workers, checking up on them and showing his support. For his unwavering support of the EDMH Employee Recognition Scheme, regularly nominating staff for Employee of the Month. He is a great ambassador of EDMH core values and excellence and respect. The next on the list is Helen Christophels. For the high quality care and leadership skills that she has displayed during the COVID-19 crisis, ensuring residents are happy and communicating with the family, the community, to ensure that they are kept well informed. For the interpersonal relationships she has developed with all the residents, showing great understanding of their individual backgrounds and needs. For her professionalism, work ethic, positive attitude, and caring demeanor that has garnered her respect from staff, family, and the community. Sue Roberts, for her tireless work as an education coordinator in the last year, for her commitment and work ethic in taking on lead role in developing and taking PPE training courses in the wake of the COVID crisis, for her positive attitude and proactiveness with her own personal development, and for providing support and education to the other staff. Anna McDonald, for her application to train as a new apprentice chef in the kitchen that was delayed by COVID-19, for her adaptation into her role as a cook and giving support to the head chef, for her passion, commitment to increasing her skill levels, and for her willingness to support her fellow workers wherever possible. Wendy Cryer, for her excellent interdepartmental communication and leadership skills exhibited during changes due to both COVID-19 and the construction of the new Lakeside Living Building. For her contribution to the creation of policies, procedures, and duty statement in the new building. Also for her taking on the new role as a lifestyle coordinator in the Lakes Hostel and Cary Nursing Home. And lastly, Debbie McLeish, for her leadership skills, guidance, and support of the Lakes Hostel team during the hard times that both COVID-19 and the construction of the Lakeside Living facility have created. For her care and compassion for all the residents, and for her advocacy for both staff and the residents to ensure that both are receiving the best results. She is a fantastic role model for EDMH. Congratulations to all of our fantastic nominees. With so many deserving nominees for the Employee of the Year, all of whom have truly gone above and beyond during a very difficult year. It was incredibly difficult for the executive team to choose. Therefore, this year, as well as an Employee of the Year, we have again awarded one person as an EDMH Cultural Champion. Now, this person has continually shown commitment to the organization's core values of excellence, respect, transparency, and integrity, and accountability. Not only this year, but throughout their entire tenure at EDMH. This person does a wonderful job and always goes above and beyond, often putting their own deadlines and workload aside to assist others. They regularly and consistently voice their appreciation and gratitude to their workmates and actively promote a positive work culture in all of their dealings with others. Please join me in congratulating our 2019 to 2020 Cultural Champion, Andrew Lloyd. Invisible claps, but that's okay. Congratulations again to all the fantastic nominees for the Employee of the Year. All have shown excellence in their field and have gone above and beyond for clients, colleagues, and the organization. Now, the choice between nominees this year was so difficult that the executive team have elected to award 2 Employees of the Year. The 2 Employees of the Year for 2019 and 2020 are Wendy Cryer and Debbie McLeish. Congratulations, Wendy and Debbie, and to all the nominees. Now, I will now hand back over to Philip to close the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. And congratulations again to all the fantastic staff nominated for the Employees of the Year. Once again, thank you to all my fellow board members for their commitment and time to our health service. Thank you. Also, Andrew and the leadership team, please enjoy some downtime for all the hard work that that everyone has put in this year. This concludes the 2019-20 Edenhope District Memorial Annual General Meeting. Thank you all for attending, and I wish you all the very best for Christmas and New Year, and safe travels if you are travelling, and enjoy time with family. Thank you very much.